He was asked to exit the store as he seemed out of place. Unbeknownst to them, they were conversing with the individual who held ownership of the entire company. Terrence Blakemore appeared to be just another face on the block, at least in the eyes of the staff at Devlin & Royce, the upscale jewelry boutique nestled on Grant Street in Palo Alto, California. The clock had just passed noon, marking a Wednesday in the midst of the week. Sunlight streamed through the expansive windows, reflecting off the diamonds nestled behind the bulletproof glass. The shop was infused with the scent of luxurious fragrance and gleaming timber. Each case was immaculate. Each bracelet, watch, and necklace was arranged with meticulous precision. It was the sort of location where quietude was woven into its very essence. Terrence entered clad in joggers, a black hoodie, and his trusty, well-worn running shoes. His hoodie clung slightly around the collar, remnants of sweat still evaporating from the brisk workout he had managed to fit in before his upcoming meeting. Initially, he averted his gaze, meticulously examining the displays, with his hands tucked away in his pockets. He received no greetings. Behind the counter, two sales associates stood, one a middle-aged man clad in a navy suit, and the other a younger woman with a tight bun, tablet in hand, seemingly oblivious to his presence. The man redirected his gaze from Terrence to the door. After 30 seconds of lingering by the platinum watch case, Terrence looked up, met the woman's gaze, and offered a subtle nod. Silence. He shifted to the left, approaching the luxurious ring display. At last, the man approached, measured, deliberate, his grin strained. "Is there something I can assist you with?" he inquired, his voice tinged with weariness. Terrence offered a courteous smile. Currently exploring options, considering acquiring something for a client. The man inclined his head just a fraction. "Appointments are typically how we operate." Terrence let out a soft laugh. "I had no idea a reservation was required just to part with my cash." The man remained silent. "We strive to uphold a specific ambience," he remarked. "If you're not prepared to make a purchase, we kindly request that guests refrain from handling the merchandise." Terrence arched an eyebrow. "I never requested to handle anything." The man offered a slight shrug. "Nonetheless, this isn't a shopping establishment." Terrence's face revealed no trace of anger. No shame involved either. He studied the man for a brief moment, then surveyed the room once more. Chill, serene, collected. From behind, the young woman leaned in and murmured something to the man. Terrence picked up on her tone. Apprehensive, pressing. The gentleman cleared his throat. "I'm afraid I must request that you exit, sir." Terrence's gaze lingered on him for just a heartbeat more. "Are you certain about that?" he inquired, his tone steady. The man responded, "I am," with his arms crossed. Terrence let out a slow breath through his nostrils. "Understood." He pivoted with deliberation, retraced his steps through the glass doors, allowing them to shut softly in his wake. No yelling, no drama, only quietude. He emerged into the bright California sunlight, reached into his pocket, and retrieved his phone. First a tap, then another. Indeed, he spoke into the speaker. "Have Warren meet me at the store. Please hold off on bringing the car around for now. Provide me with 20. He concluded the conversation and rested against the parking meter just outside the store. For a moment, his expression turned vacant, calm, and scathed, feeling quite exhausted. This was not the inaugural instance of an occurrence like this. Yet this occasion felt distinct, because he wasn't merely an individual of color facing exclusion from an upscale shop. He possessed it. However, that wasn't the aspect that would hurt the most. For them or for him, Warren arrived a dozen minutes past the hour. Striding swiftly, his blazer billowed in the wind as he moved forward. Bluetooth remains in his ear. He halted in his tracks upon spotting Terrence, who was nonchalantly propped against the meter, leisurely sipping a green juice he had picked up from the corner store during his wait. "They actually went and did it, didn't they?" Warren inquired, his eyes wide with astonishment. Terrence gave a single nod. "Entire concept, from the highest point to the lowest." "Did they inquire about your name?" "Not at all." "Did you reveal your identity to them?" Terrence cast him a glance. Do you believe I ought to have? Warren gave a slight shake of his head. It's not your responsibility to instruct adults on how to treat others. Terrence took a moment before replying. He hurled the vacant juice bottle into a nearby recycling bin and stood tall. Let us proceed, he remarked. They strolled together along the sidewalk, then returned through the glass doors of Devlin and Royce. This time, the motion sensors activated a gentle chime. The atmosphere within had taken on a chill, or perhaps it merely seemed so. The same two employees remained, engaged in conversation, their laughter dissipating swiftly as they noticed Terrence re-entering the room. This time, a gentleman donned slacks and a sport coat, adorned with a small silver pin on his lapel. Warren exuded an air of authority, commanding attention even in his silence. How may I assist you? The young woman started to speak. Warren interjected. Are you Jennifer? She blinked slowly, her eyes fluttering like delicate wings in the soft light. What is it? So you must be Mr. Coyle. The man appeared bewildered. Indeed, that's who I am. I am Warren Tate, serving as the Director of Operations at Blakemore and Company. Jennifer's lips parted ever so slightly. Mr. Coyle stood still, caught in a moment of disbelief. Terrence advanced with purpose. I'm Terrence Blakemore, he stated with a serene demeanor. You are under my direction. Mr. Coyle's gaze darted between Terrence and Warren, then returned once more. His posture diminished with each passing moment. Terrence maintained a calm demeanor, his voice steady and his expression devoid of anger. This place belongs to me, he stated. And the emblem above the entrance. Jennifer gazed at the tablet clutched in her hand. We were unaware, Terrence interjected softly. Actually, that's not the case. And therein lies the issue. Coyle began to speak but hesitated. Terrence went on, suggesting that you thought I was out of place here. You bypassed inquiry and went straight to a conclusion. Pondered, Coyle began. Terrence remarked. You assumed I appeared as if I lacked the funds to spend. And even if I didn't, this shop isn't about judging who appears wealthy enough to deserve respect. Warren leaned against the display case. A comprehensive evaluation of staff interactions in every store will commence next quarter, beginning today. Coyle appeared quite pale. I apologize if I caused any offense. You did, Terrence said. It seems you were caught off guard by the repercussions. Silence enveloped the room. Jennifer remained rigid behind the counter, her lips sealed in a firm line. Terrence surveyed the surroundings, taking in the walls, the glass, and the array of merchandise. The items he offers for sale. It's amusing, he remarked. I dedicated a significant portion of my life to ensure that I could enter spaces like this without being pursued. I have finally made a purchase. Yet, I found myself unable to progress beyond the second case. Warren let out a soft sigh. Would you like to have a conversation in the back? Terrence gave a slight shake of his head. Negative. Let's maintain our focus right here. I desire for them to listen to this. He glanced back at Coyle. You evaluated me using the wrong criteria, he remarked. Honestly, your apology means nothing to me. This is something that weighs on my mind daily. For those without a voice to resist, he allowed the words to linger in the air for a moment. Yet Terrence had more to say. Not at this moment. He possessed additional thoughts to express. Every word was destined to be heard by them. Terrence made no invitation for anyone to take a seat. He required neither a conference table nor a prepared statement. The jewels glimmered enticingly behind the glass. Yet the atmosphere had transformed. No one was exploring. The door remained closed. Even the security guard had edged a bit nearer, caught in a moment of hesitation about whether to voice his thoughts or remain a silent witness. Jennifer's hands were firmly bound behind her back. Mr. Coyle appeared as though he wished to vanish into thin air. Terrence advanced 2 paces toward the counter. I'd like to share a bit about who I am. He spoke without a sense of pride. He expressed it as if revealing a cherished photograph from a bygone era, pulling it from the depths of a drawer. I was raised in East Oakland. My mother held down 2 jobs. Occasionally it can be 3. I acquired my first genuine suit at the age of 26. At that time, it was still secondhand, and I found myself learning to tie a tie by using a mirror and following a YouTube tutorial. Jennifer's eyes fluttered momentarily. Her fingers danced with anticipation. Terrence cast a fleeting look in her direction. Have you ever experienced being watched in a store simply due to your outfit? She remained silent. He cast his gaze upon Coyle. Have you ever entered a space and sensed immediately that your words won't resonate as strongly as those of the person beside you? Coyle lowered his head slightly, a hint of shame crossing his features. Likewise, Terrence pressed on. What transpired today isn't about my feelings of disappointment due to a lack of acknowledgement. That's not necessary for me. Today, I entered this space not to evaluate, but simply to absorb the atmosphere. That concludes everything. You revealed all the essential insights I required. Warren stood quietly, arms crossed, observing each response intently. This was Terrence's moment, and he understood how to allow him to shine. Your judgment was clear the instant I stepped through that door, Terrence remarked. Not reflective of my style, not aligned with my purpose. However, considering the design of my hoodie, Jennifer parted her lips, ready to voice her thoughts. Yet once more, he halted her with a gentle gesture of his hand. He stated calmly, I'm not angry. However, I find myself feeling let down. I'm certain that if I had walked in here sporting a Rolex and a tailored jacket, you would have extended an invitation for champagne. A young security guard named Felipe, who had maintained his distance until now, took a small step forward. Mr. Blakemore, I wish to express my sincerest apologies, sir. Terrence nodded, expressing his own uncertainty. Thank you for that, Felipe. I'm serious about this. However, this goes beyond mere knowledge. It's centered on the conclusions people draw in the absence of knowledge. Coyle cast a wary look at Warren. What comes next? Terrence paused before responding. He gazed at a ring case brimming with platinum bands, then lifted his eyes once more. At this moment, he spoke with deliberate slowness. Now pay attention. Coyle gulped. One must acknowledge that luxury transcends appearances. Fortune doesn't arrive with a single appearance. Respect isn't determined by a price tag. Jennifer's eyes started to glisten, just a touch. She appeared as though she had encountered her own reflection and was unable to identify it. This brand, my brand, was created by those who were often ignored, Terrence stated. Individuals who possessed insight yet lacked an invitation. Individuals with discerning preferences yet limited opportunities. He moved in closer. Devlin and Royce was renowned for its air of exclusivity. I purchased it for that reason. Not to limit it, but to broaden it. To emphasize that excellence is independent of the identities you anticipate entering the room. The silence in the room was thick now, not uncomfortable. Simply complete. Yet Terrence had more to construct in his message. The upcoming section will delve further, and it may prove challenging for them to absorb. Terrence remained still. He stood there, clad in his hoodie and joggers, commanding the space with a presence that required no validation. This was not a matter of power. This centered around existence. All were aware of it. He mentioned that we would discuss what comes next. However, it's not solely focused on this shop. Not merely today. He shifted his gaze toward Warren. Let's welcome them in. Warren exited the building and gestured toward the pavement. Shortly thereafter, two additional individuals made their entrance. Sasha Lamont held the position of head of client experience for Terrence. Another individual was Ronald Sturgis, a reserved yet astute regional trainer who played a pivotal role in shaping the retail culture for Blakemore and Cone in 6 cities. Jennifer's gaze flickered back and forth between them. Mr. Coyle cleared his throat, yet remained silent. Sasha offered a gentle smile. Our intention is not to impose any penalties. We have something to reveal to you, Terrence acknowledged. What occurred today is not uncommon. You're not alone in this. This is the foundation upon which the industry was established. I've heard from affluent clients that they've needed to bring along assistants simply to receive the respect they deserve. Do you believe that's correct? There was no response. Ronald advanced with purpose. We focus on product training. We focus on mastering language. However, a significant number of us were never educated on interpersonal dynamics, regarding judgment, on seemingly trivial choices that hold significant impact. Coyle cast his gaze downward. I believed I was exercising caution. Terrence refrained from reprimanding him. You were exercising discernment. You were safeguarding an area you believed required safeguarding. Yet, what you truly accomplished was shutting out the very person who constructed it. Sasha presented Jennifer with a petite pile of cards. These are authentic narratives from genuine clients. Unidentified. Yet, each and every one of them originated from a Blakemore or Devlin store. Check out the best one. Jennifer's voice trembled a bit as she spoke the words out loud. Entered alongside my teenage son. Silence enveloped us until a white customer walked in. Out of the blue, 3 individuals inquired if they could assist her. We departed, never to return. She hesitated. Engulfed. I apologize. She spoke softly. Terrence made his entrance. Have you ever considered what can be challenging? The customer likely remained silent. There was no disagreement. They simply chose to take their wallet to a different place. And that stings deeper than any expression. He glanced over at Coyle. So, you've been part of the company for 7 years, correct? Nearly 8. You possess impressive sales skills. That's the reason for your presence. However, selling jewelry isn't about assessing who appears affluent. It's about ensuring that each individual feels a sense of belonging in this space. That's the way to cultivate loyalty. The atmosphere was tranquil. A delivery truck rumbled by outside, its sound echoing through the air. Yet not a single gaze was cast. Jennifer fought to hold back another tear. I never imagined I would become that kind of person. You're not alone in this. Terrence responded. Yet you embodied that role today. Now you find yourself faced with a decision. There is always room for improvement. Alternatively, you can choose to embrace comfort. Ronell took the stage once more. Beginning tomorrow, every member of the sales team will participate in an innovative training program focused on a human-centered approach. Not delicacy. It's not a checklist. We shall engage in a conversation. We shall pay attention. Times it may feel quite uneasy. However, that's the sole path for transformation. Mr. Coyle cast a glance at Terrence. Am I still employed? Terrence cast a glance in his direction, his face betraying no emotion. That hinges on whether your aim is to safeguard a commission or to assist individuals. Yet, in this clash, Terrence had no intention of shattering them. He sought to shatter the pattern. The most crucial moment was yet to unfold. Terrence took his time with the moment. He surveyed the showroom once again. The floors shimmered with a polished brilliance. The illumination was crisp and infused with a cool hue. Every item in the store exuded precision. And yet, what had just transpired couldn't be mended with mere embellishment. This isn't just about a single awkward moment, he stated. This situation transcends a single poor decision. He took a step back, his arms hanging loosely at his sides. I'd like to share a story about a friend of mine. He has a net worth in the 8-figure range. Operates a technology company in Phoenix. He took his weather Jeep to a high-end dealership just last month. He wasn't even allowed to step beyond the welcome mat. Terrence shook his head, a wry smile playing on his lips at the ridiculousness of it all. Can you believe what he did? He stepped outside, traveled 2 miles down the road, acquired a pair of vehicles, settled completely, gave a tip so generous that it brought tears to the saleswoman's eyes. Ronell let out a faint grunt. It occurs frequently. Indeed, Terrence remarked. And that's the crux of the matter. One can never predict who might enter the scene. However, what truly matters is that you can never be certain of what they hold within. Some individuals enter with cash in hand. Some enter with a sense of pride. Some enter, seeking to erase the memories of the morning's turmoil. All they seek is the essence of humanity. Not evaluated. Not overlooked. Jennifer held her posture with newfound confidence. No longer on the defensive, simply absorbing the sounds. I don't require the store to follow the latest trends. Terrence pressed on. I require it to be truthful. Individuals are weary of stepping into spaces where the temperature shifts immediately upon their arrival. He surveyed his surroundings once more. It isn't always noisy. It isn't always antagonistic. At times, all that remains is quietude. A moment of uncertainty. A fleeting look. Warren spoke up for the first time since coming back. We have gathered information from more than 200 clients spanning 14 stores. Consistent theme. Consistent feedback. Excessive representation of individuals from diverse backgrounds. Females. Younger customers express a sense of needing to demonstrate their worth before receiving even a glance in their direction. Mr. Coyle gently rubbed his tired eyes. We are focused on safeguarding the brand. Terrence cut in, serene yet resolute. What is your perspective on the brand, Mr. Coyle? A symbol. A title. He took a moment to stop. Negative. The essence of the brand is captured in the emotions that wash over individuals as they step inside. That sums it all up. He shifted a bit, gesturing towards the wall adorned with the company's mission statement, elegantly displayed in a brushed silver frame. Observe that. Opulence woven into every narrative. Do you notice that? Jennifer gave a slow, deliberate nod. Terrence cast a glance over his shoulder at her. Can you fathom it? I desire to, she remarked. I hadn't noticed how far I had wandered from it. We all wander, he responded. What truly counts is if we find our way back on course. Sasha retrieved a tablet from her bag and gently tapped the screen. Next month, we will be initiating a company-wide listening session. Untold tales, face-to-face dialogues, and genuine responsibility. This goes beyond the corporate realm. It's meant for all. If you've ever diminished someone's presence here, now is the moment to rethink that behavior. Terrence appeared deep in contemplation. I have experienced silence in the past. In different locations. I have allowed matters to drift. I convinced myself that this wasn't the moment to voice my thoughts. But what if it occurs within the walls of your own home? He shook his head in disbelief. You no longer remain silent. Ronell gave a single nod. This isn't something that can be resolved with a simple memo. We tackle it room by room. Terrence let out a brief chuckle. Not lacking in humor, but rather in clarity. When I acquired Devlin and Royce, many insisted I had lost my mind. Stated that the culture was rather traditional, excessively rigid. I thought it would be impossible to move it. He stared directly into Mr. Coyle's eyes. Observe me closely. Transforming a culture requires more than just one speech. It revolves around the future steps to take. Terrence had one final action to take before stepping through that door. Terrence departed shortly thereafter. The argument had been established, and most crucially, it had been acknowledged. Yet, prior to his departure, he cast a glance towards Sasha. Follow-ups will be necessary in this situation. Regular updates for the upcoming month. I would like each team member to share their insights and takeaways, not what they've committed to memory. Sasha gave a slight nod. I'm already working on it. Jennifer hesitated, caught in a moment of uncertainty about whether to voice her thoughts. Yet there was a change within her. She advanced a step, unhurried, unscripted. Mr. Blakemore, she remarked, gentle yet unwavering tone. I realize I made a mistake. I have no justification. I simply wish to convey this to you. I aspire to contribute to the transformation, not from a sense of obligation. Yet today I caught a glimpse of my true self. I was not pleased with what I observed. Terrence remained expressionless. Yet he locked eyes with her, a spark of understanding passing between them. The gaze of an educator upon a pupil who has just made that crucial realization. You'll have that opportunity, he responded. Yet growth is anything but silent. Feels quite uneasy. If you're prepared for that, then so am I. Coyle remained quiet. He appeared unsettled. Not out of fear of job loss, but due to the burden of the truths that had come to light. He had been engaged in this for many years, viewing individuals through the lens of risk assessments rather than recognizing their unique identities. And now it had finally caught up with him. Warren cast a glance in that direction. Mr. Coyle, a decision will be reached by the end of the week. For now, you are on leave. Compensated. However, that moment is not meant for relaxation. It serves as a means for contemplation. You'll craft your own narrative of today's events. All that you believed, all of your actions, and what it imparted to you. If we trust in its sincerity, you will return. If that's the case, we'll proceed to the next step. Coyle gave a subtle nod. No justification, no anger. Merely an individual compelled to view his own reflection from an altered perspective. Terrence glanced at the security guard. Is it Felipe? Absolutely, sir. Your earlier words resonated with me, and I truly valued them. That is significant. Continue to voice your thoughts, even when it's not your responsibility. Felipe's expression was one of astonishment. I shall, sir. Thanks a lot. As Terrence approached the door, he halted next to the display where he had lingered moments before being asked to exit. He gently tapped the glass. That particular one, he remarked. Sasha moved in closer. The exquisite platinum chronograph? Indeed, Terrence mentioned. Include it in the company's training resources. This item is not available for purchase. This is not intended for public viewing. A gentle reminder of the origins of it all. Sasha beamed. Meaningful? No, he replied. Authentic. They stepped into the warm embrace of the California afternoon. This time, he left without anyone noticing, as if he were just another face in the crowd. No one questioned his place. He remained quiet during the ride back to the office, seated in the rear of the company SUV, absorbed in his emails, with occasional glances out the window. Warren at last shattered the stillness. Are you all right? Terrence gave a slight nod. Indeed. Warren paused for a moment. Do you believe they will transform? Terrence paused for a moment. Some will, some won't. However, that store has changed significantly now. That moment, what transpired within those walls, remains etched in everyone's memory. They drove into the parking garage beneath the Blakemore and Company headquarters. The elevator doors shut with a soft thud. Terrence gazed at his reflection in the gleaming metal paneling. He mentioned that he once believed the aim was to gain recognition. However, at this moment, the aim is to earn respect, even in moments of anonymity. However, before this narrative reached its conclusion, Terrence was determined to ensure that the lesson transcended the confines of four walls. He felt the urge to express something to the audience before him, those who have experienced it as well. Life is filled with unexpected moments that catch you off guard. Yet they remain by your side, not due to their volume but because of the truths they uncover. For Terrence Blakemore, that afternoon within his own store was not a matter of pride. The insult wasn't even the main issue. It was a reflection on the subtle reality that countless individuals carry within them, facing scrutiny before you've had the chance to speak. As the evening wore on, Terrence found himself solitary in his office. The sun had set, leaving the majority of the building vacant. The lights were dimmed, and the city whispered softly beyond the window. He flipped through aged notes, design drafts from the beginning when he was merely doodling logos on napkins during breaks. Every detail lingered in his mind. The manner in which security would follow him around in department stores. The job interviews where their expressions turned to disbelief upon his arrival. The hushed journeys in the elevator, where gazes avoided one another. That moment in the jewelry store was merely another stone added to the wall he had been ascending for years. Yet he bore no animosity. He possessed recollection. He opened a message on his screen with a click. A testimonial from a mother residing in Scottsdale. She strolled into one of the boutiques clad in leggings and flip-flops. She penned, "No one glanced my way. There was only one young man who inquired about my day and offered his assistance. I explained to him that I wasn't there to shop, but rather just waiting for my daughter. He offered a smile and assured me that I was still welcome. As I drove home, tears streamed down my face, since I'm unfamiliar with being treated in that manner. That was the essence of it. Not flipping the script, refraining from retaliation, however, establishing a fresh benchmark. Since individuals often forget various products, they recall the emotions you evoked in them. If appearances continue to dictate treatment, then there remains much to be accomplished. Terrence reclined in his chair, with his arms folded across his chest. He spoke aloud, as if addressing an invisible audience. Some people believe that achieving success means you no longer have to listen to the distractions. Ultimately, it signifies that you have reached a point where you can provide a response. He remained still for a moment. Then I added, and I have no intention of remaining silent. This narrative extends beyond Terrence alone. It's a reflection on those individuals who enter spaces where their value is assessed before a single word escapes their lips. It revolves around the times when individuals felt diminished due to another's limited perspective. The reality is this, clear and straightforward. Respect ought to be unconditional. It ought not to rely on your footwear, your outerwear, your complexion, your quietude. You should be recognized for your true self, rather than conforming to others' expectations of you. And if you've ever faced dismissal, been overlooked, or talked over, don't allow that to define you. Allow it to refine you. Allow it to drive you to create the environment they denied you. Exactly as Terrence accomplished. Each of us has a role to fulfill in this narrative, regardless of whether you're serving or being served. So the next time someone enters your life, your shop, your workplace, stop. Reflect on your actions. Then inquire, am I in the presence of this individual? Am I merely perceiving what I anticipate? That inquiry could potentially alter the entire landscape. If this tale stirred any emotions within you, pass it along. There's a message waiting to be shared with someone who truly needs it. And if you haven't done so yet, consider subscribing. These are the narratives that may not always capture the spotlight, yet they hold significant impact.